A lot of people are watching their films via a streaming service. But do you get tired of scrolling through a load of thumbnails trying to find something to watch? I know that was the situation for me. Fortunately, I'd kept all my DVDs from way back when, and so I still had a collection of films that I knew I loved I could go to. And that's what I did. But it's not about having loads of DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever. It's about having a selection of those films and TV series that you've got that mean something to you, that talk about who you are as a person. I'm not talking about the hollow recommendations that you get on a streaming site. I'm talking about having a collection that means something to you. You see, the collection that I've got has been curated. It's not full of fluff. All of the things that are just there because to build a collection have gone. The collection I have now, every single film, every single TV series I have, are things that I've bought because I really like them. And because as well, I think they tell you a story of who I am as you go through them. I think the selection of films that I've got in my collection are like milestones in my life, if you like. And what I've done for this video is to pick 10 DVDs and Blu-rays that are in my collection that remind me of different parts of my life whenever I see them. Some you might have seen before because they've been in other videos, but I'm hoping that I've managed to pick out some that I haven't. And I'll tell you why. They're DVDs that aren't going to leave my collection. I'm going to start off by going right the way back to this one, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, because you see, there's still a child inside of me. I bought this firstly as a VHS video when my son was small, and we used to sit there and watch it, and I would be singing along to Bobbing Along on the Bottom of the Beautiful Briny Sea, and I loved all of the things. And when I watch it now, I've watched it, my kids are 40 and 35 now, and so when I watch it now, it takes me back and reminds me that my kids used to watch this film with me, and it reminds me of the fun we used to have singing along to the songs in it. And so it's a very special film for me, and it's one that I would not part with for that reason alone. My next choice is Dirty Dancing. Why? For starters, the music in it is fantastic. If you're a music lover like me, all of these songs in this film are just great, and I've loved them since the minute it came out. I remember going to the pictures and seeing it in the pictures and seeing people get excited when the songs were on and all of that sort of stuff. It was just a great, great film. It reminds me of good times. It's a film that I watch quite a lot. I go back to it. Yes, the story is a bit cheesy, but it's just a good film, and it's one that reminds me of so many good times. That era was great for me, and I loved that. And so Dirty Dancing is a film that resonates with me, no doubt, and I love to see it. As does this next one. This is FM. I watched it in the 70s when it first came out. It came out in 78. I watched it and loved it because as a teenager growing up, I wanted to work in radio. It didn't happen for me until I was 49. And I got the opportunity, thanks to the web really, to be part of a radio station. In fact, many radio stations. And this film reminds me of my love of radio. The music in it, once again, is fantastic. And the characters in this, actually, I know a few people just like that. And so FM to me stands out as something that reminds me of a part of my life that I really, really enjoyed, even though I had it years before I got round to doing that. My next choice is one that is in my top 3 films of all time. You've probably heard me talk about it on the channel before. But this, Cinema Paradiso, tells you everything about my love of film. This film is a story of love for cinema, to be honest with you. It's a film that I can sit through. I can sit through it every week, really, if I wanted to. It's just a great film. And it reminds me of when the director is looking up at the film at the end. I feel like that sometimes when I'm watching films. It's a part of my life. They bring back memories of times when I used to go to the pictures as a kid, of times when I've been to the pictures with friends, of things that have happened in films that have made me emotional. And so it's a really important film to me, and one that I would not part with at all. And when I talk about getting emotional, that brings me on to my next film choice. This is my favourite film of all time, Field of Dreams. I'm not American. Baseball isn't my game. But there is something in this film, a link between father and son. I'm sure many people have seen this film, and many men will know what I'm talking about. That part of the film, when he's talking about his dad in the middle of the film and wanting to do something totally different to what his dad's life was, that was me. And then at the end of it, throwing the ball with his dad, the feelings that he has, I've been there too. This is close to my heart because of those reasons. Next up, I saw this next film in 1980 at a little town called Buckingham in their little picture house. It was about half full, but everybody was absolutely in hysterics. Airplane. If you're zany and you've got this thing about you that likes quirkiness, this film feels it totally. It's a film that I watch over and over again. The jokes, I kind of know them before they're coming, but I always enjoy them all the same. But it just gives me that little boost of joy that sometimes, we need. And it's a film that I'll go back to fairly often, really. And just put a little bit of quirkiness and a bit of laughter into my life because of it being so silly, really. And it's just a wonderful film that I couldn't part with. The next film I saw as a probably 10 or 12-year-old with my mum. My mum said I should watch it. Didn't understand why. But it's a film about having an opinion and not letting other people change you from that, to take you off that route. I'm talking, of course, about 12 Angry Men. This film made me realise that you can stand up for yourself. You can get your point of view across, and you can not be railroaded by other people to think in a way you don't actually believe. I love this film for that. I think Henry Fonda's portrayal of a man of morals, of ethics, I suppose, is one that leads us all into probably being a better kind of person. And I love it for that. The next one is about not giving up, not giving in. I saw this with my Uncle Henry Turner. I loved that man. He died of a heart attack when he was 57. But he was a man's man. He was someone that I respected no end and loved immensely. In fact, one of my sons is named after him. And so this film holds a happy place in my heart because I remember seeing it with him for starters. But this film is about someone who's not going to give in. Papillon. Yes, he's a criminal, I know that. But he's a hero. He's someone who will not give in. He's going to keep going until he escapes. It's just a story that I can remember watching the film and cheering him on and wanted him to get away. It was one of those types of films. The acting in it is superb. Stephen Quinn is brilliant, as is Dustin Hoffman. But it's a film that I wouldn't part with because there are times in my life. What happens is, you go through things sometimes and there are films that you can pull out that will get you through it. And Papillon is one of those. My next film is one of many that I have. I got this from my mum and dad. When I was a kid, they loved to watch the musicals on the telly. And because musicals have songs in it and I like music, I used to watch them with them. And this one is one that I love, My Fair Lady. Not only do I love it because it's a good film, there's a story that goes behind this. My dad had an amusement arcade where he used to play all the hits of the day to keep people in the arcade. But in the time when the Beatles were about, in the 60s, all the teenagers would stay in the arcade and they wouldn't play on the machines. So my dad, when he got fed up with it, would put the album, the soundtrack to this on. And when they realised they weren't listening to the Beatles anymore, they'd go out and then people who could play on the machines would. So this film, as much as I love it for what it is, for how it stands as a film, the memories that it brings back of my parents and my days growing up also make it a film that, of all the musicals I have, this is one I just could not part with. And I'm going to finish with a recent film to my collection, one that I got out of a charity shop, in fact. It's called The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out of the Window and Disappeared. It is great, and it's something that I think we should live up to. Doesn't matter how old you are. There are adventures out there for all of us, and we should take them if we get the chance, if the opportunity comes along for us to take a leap, to try something new, to go and do something. Age should never be a barrier. And that's why I like this film. And so there are 10 films that all say a little bit about my life and say a little bit about who I am. They define my worldview, I suppose, if you like. And they deserve to be in my collection because of that. Here's my challenge to you. Pick one film that you love that says a lot about who you are. Watch it, but also leave it in the comments below so we can see and explain why that film is so important to you as well. And if you look up there, there's a playlist of other TV and related videos of mine there. I will see you next time.